Hey there, ladies, gents, and everybody in between. This is your homie Wolfie, and here I am back with another Wolfer review. This time I'm going to be talking to you guys about WWE 2K22. So, I kind of consider myself a veteran when it comes to wrestling games because I have been playing them since they were on the N64. And that includes all the games that were on 64, PS1, PS2, PS3, now PS4, and even on the GameCube. I'm not afraid to say that these are my guilty pleasure games. These are games that I absolutely love to play. I have so many great memories attached to them. So I've been looking forward to this game for a while. And that's saying a lot because I haven't been looking forward to them much after the debacle that was 2K20. So I don't think it's a small feat to say that that game was an absolute train wreck. It had bugs out the ass. It had glitches that I can't even begin to fathom how got past the QA system. And it, when I tell you that I couldn't even play the game on my PlayStation because it just continuously kept crashing every 5 minutes. So at one point I just said, screw it, and I deleted it. Now, the last game that I truly enjoyed from 2K as far as these was 2K19. I still recommend it to people on the daily whenever they ask me what is a good modern type wrestling game, and I usually go with that. So now I can also suggest 2K22 because they have ended up doing a fantastic job with this game. So to start it off, they have a few modes that when you open up the game too. You have play mode, you have showcase, you have universe, you have my GM, and my faction and my rise. So we'll start with play. So play is basically the mode where all your matches are, where you and friends can do exhibition matches and just have a good time with each other. And that's the first thing that I did. They do start you off with a tutorial when you boot the game up to teach you the new controls, which I have mixed feelings about. So with the controls, considering that I've been playing the 2K games for a couple of years, I got really used to the controls that they made. 2K20 is when they tried to change it then, and it did not work out. I really didn't like the new controls with those. This time around, you will see cats, I apologize. This time around, they revamped it and kind of modernized it. So they simplified it to the point where it's kind of more pick up and play for people who haven't been playing the games for a while, which I do respect. I respect that a lot. I think it's great when new players can jump into something that has been around for, I guess you can say, decades now. I'm showing my age. But they made it so that, everybody, veteran and not, can jump into it, and I think that was pretty cool. But I think the only issue is for us veterans, it's something to get used to. So I still every now and then use the right stick, which used to be what we used for grapples, or I would sometimes use the R2 for reversing, which used to be the designated button for reversing, but now they've made it so that triangle is the designated reversal, and that you can use, if I'm not mistaken, it's R1 and flicking, and then you can dodge and duck different, I'm getting used to it. We'll say that I'm getting used to it. It's taking me a bit. I normally play the games on normal, but I've had to put it on easy just so that I can get used to it. It's not the best for me per se, but it's not terrible. They've made the grapple button as circle now, so that's something that was in the older games, like the ones on PlayStation 3 and 2, I believe. So that's a bit of a return. So I'm getting used to that part. So how they do it is you press circle, and then that puts you into a grapple, and then you have to press directional with square or X if you want to do a light grapple, or a heavy grapple. So that's also another thing they added, is the square and X are two different strikings. So with square you are doing light attacks, and with X you're doing like heavy attacks. And so, and with square, and you can use them interchangeably to create combos. That's also something that's new, is the combos, which I've started to get used to that. I've started to get on board with that. I kind of like the combos now. So if you press like square, square, X, X, and then circle or something like that, you get different types of like finishers for that end combo. So it's working out. I'm getting used to it. So I think that a lot of people will catch on board with it. I think a lot of people will have fun with it once you get the feel for it. So other than that, everything else is pretty much the same. So I'm glad that they didn't change the entire system. That would have probably been really hard to get on board with. But they've changed it enough that it's not completely natural for me personally, but it is better. I'll say it's better. It is. It's just, change. But anyway, back to the modes. So I finished up showcase mode over my weekend, and I had a blast with it. So what they do with it is, so you're going through some of the more memorable matches with Rey Mysterio. The downside is that there are specific matches that aren't there, that I'm sure a lot of people who have been wrestling fans for a long time, like myself, will notice. And I know that some people might be disappointed. I know there were a few matches that I was disappointed not to see. But the reason being, I believe, is because they weren't able to put the people who are involved into the game for, I think it's for legal purposes. So that's one downside to it. But that aside, the mode itself is a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun trying to recreate those moments, and then they have parts where it splices the gameplay with some footage of what happened, and it was very nostalgia hitting for me because I actually grew up watching all of those matches. So I had it just, you got the goosebumps on your skin and all that, because you get to see these modes, you get to see these moments that, for me, being a really big fan of Rey Mysterio, that meant a lot to watch, to see. That part I wish I could have been there in person for, but to be able to play them was a big impact. I won't lie and say that I had tearing up when it came to the parts with Eddie Guerrero, because he was another huge favorite of mine. I loved him since I was maybe 6 years old. So to see him and Ray were my boys back in the day. So to see them together in that way, it was really a nice, I think, like a nice little love letter to Eddie himself. And I would recommend this to anybody. I would definitely recommend that showcase to anybody. Definitely play it. It's one of the biggest highlights of the game, indeed. Moving on to Universe Mode. So Universe Mode, I've been playing some of, and Universe Mode, honestly, is my favorite part of all the 2K games the last couple of years. I really, really have a lot of fun with that one. So that's the one where you get to create your own shows. You get to do your own, basically make WWE however you would see fit. Like for me, I normally create WCW. I usually bring that back to life, and I put a bunch of my favorite characters on it. And I'll probably take off, like I'll take wrestlers that I don't really care about. I'll probably put them on NXT. I'm not really a big NXT fan, so I'll put them on NXT, but I'll have all my favorites on Raw, SmackDown, and WCW. So, and you can create your own pay-per-views. You can do a whole bunch of things. So Universe Mode, to me, is the money-making mode, because I absolutely, once I'm in it, I'm in it for months on end. So this is going to be another mode. This is going to be another time where I'm on that mode for months on end. But now they've added a superstar mode. So it allows you to play as the superstar of your choice. So you can, whether it's create a character that you created, or it's I guess, wrestlers that you really enjoy playing as a lot. So you'll play through universe mode, only playing their matches, and you are in control of making them get to the top and have all these moments and stuff like this. So I had a really good time so far. I've been playing. I have 2 saves where I'm playing on just regular universe mode that I created for myself, and then the superstar mode, which both have been a great time so far. And the AI is very responsive in this game, so it never feels like a one-sided fight, no matter what. Even on easy, it is like the computer is still very competent. I've had a lot of moments where it's just back and forth reversals, back and forth, and moments where I'm on my screen, like, no, 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 don't do it, la la la, getting really into it. And I've missed that. I've missed that a lot when it comes to wrestling games, and this definitely brought that back. So it's another reason why I'm actually really loving the game. So another mode that I've been playing through is My Rise, which is the story mode for your own personal created characters. They made it so that you have one for superstars, which is the males, and the female wrestlers. So you can choose either. You can even have 2 going at the same time. So you have, I think, up to 3 slots. So you can play as a male for one and play as a female for the other, and the stories have been actually really good. Normally the My Rise stuff hasn't really gotten my attention because the writing has just been bad, but the writing is it's a lot better this time around. The performances are a lot better. They're not, they're not gonna break ground, but they are passable. They are serviceable. They get you into it enough, and I've been having a really great time with the mode. So I haven't beaten it all the way yet, but I managed to get the WWE and United States and 24/7 titles so far, and I've had a lot of laughs. I've had a lot of cursing out my television because I was so mad with the stipulations they put me through. Like, there's at one point where they had me be in a 1-on-3 handicap match in order for me to go against Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, and choosing my own match for it. So if I would have lost, the computer would have chosen it, but because I won, I got to choose it, which I made us do a Hell in a Cell so that his boys wouldn't come and interfere. So it's been a good time. It's been a really, really good time. I would recommend anybody who picks it up to definitely play the My Rise. The My Rise is a lot of fun. Then the other ones are My GM and My Faction. Now, these 2 I've honestly not got into yet. My Faction is basically like 2K's version of, I guess you could say, like Ultimate Team or something like that. I'm not into things like that. I don't like microtransaction type modes, so I haven't touched it personally. I've been looking around to see what the general consensus for it is, but so far I don't think really anybody's messing with it, which makes sense because it's usually these things are very egregious, and I do my best not to support them in any way. But with My GM, I also haven't got into that because that's a niche kind of mode. That's for people who like that kind of thing. My GM has never been something that's been appealing to me. They had it in the past. So the last time they had it was for SmackDown versus Raw, I believe. I couldn't tell you which one, but I do remember it was in SmackDown versus Raw. And it didn't get me then, so I didn't expect it would get me now. But from what I've heard from other friends of mine, they do enjoy the My GM mode. And they said that they did a good job with it, that it doesn't have everything they wish it did, but it's serviceable. It's something that people will enjoy if that's the kind of thing that you like to do with the micromanaging and bringing your show up to be the best show, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, if that's your kind of thing, you go ahead and try it. See what you think of it. So the creation mode is still as great as it's always been. I've always been a huge fan of how 2K does their creation modes. So you have Superstar, Championship, Entrance, Victory, which is, like when you win the match, how your character celebrates. Move sets, you can make custom matches, you can make your own like little highlight reel videos, you can make your own Money in the Bank case, you can make your own shows, and then you can make the arena. So you've got a plethora of things that you can do, and I really enjoy it. Every time I create something, it usually takes me about 4 hours because I get really into the options, and for me it's very therapeutic just making my own character and going nuts with it. I'm not the most creative person, so I'm not making like Goku and Trunks or anything like that in here, but I usually make my base character that I make in any created character situation. I've been having a great time with it. Um, if you're into creation modes and stuff like that, I think y'all are gonna be very happy with it. You're gonna be very, very happy with it. And then you still have the option to go to the online base, which lets you download the creations that other people have made. So like a different, like the same deal with superstars, arenas, all that. You get to download whatever other people in the community have made, and you can go ahead and have a good time with. If somebody's a little bit more creative than you are, you can use theirs and give them likes and stuff like that. So I think that's always been great. That's always been one of my favorite aspects of the 2K games, and thankfully that those haven't missed a beat with it. I don't typically play online. I want to try to this time around, but I'm just waiting for more people that I know to get the games. Most of the people that are getting the games are people that I'm not like close with, so I haven't been able to play online with anybody just yet. But from what I've heard, the servers have been pretty steady. There hasn't been too many complaints, which I'm glad to hear, because I remember for 2K20 that was not the case. It was definitely not the case. And the basic options are all good. They give you a lot of creative freedom to adjust the game however you see fit. I usually take off weight detection. I take off injuries and stuff like that because I just like to play. I like to play it as an arcade. For me, I'm like simulation wrestling, always fun. But personally, I like to play more arcade style. So I make the game play like an arcade wrestler would, with the whole simulation presentation. And to segue from that, the presentation of the game is gorgeous. This is the best WWE game has looked in a long time for me since 2K19. So the entrances, all the characters themselves, they look great. We do have a few of those ones that you can tell that they didn't put as much creative effort into, probably because they're not big names. But the big name wrestlers, all of them look fantastic. Like Naomi looks fantastic. You have Roman Reigns, obviously. You have Goldberg, looks really good. Ray himself and all his costumes look really well. For me, one of the things that I did not like that they did was so it used to have a way for you to buy an accelerator that made it so that you could just unlock everybody from the get-go. You don't have to do all the modes to get characters and all that stuff. So in this one, they've made it so that even if you bought, like for me, I bought the NWO edition, which was $130 with tax, but I don't regret the purchase at all. I don't. So that gave me like a bunch of characters that you typically would have to unlock, but it wasn't all of them. So there's still more characters that you have to unlock in arenas and all that stuff. You have to do it via playing through Showcase, and thankfully Showcase is fun, so I had no problem playing through it. But if I didn't enjoy Showcase, I would have been kind of upset about that, because like one of my favorite characters, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time is Batista, and then the only way to unlock Batista is to play with him via the 2K Showcase mode. So I'm not too happy about that, but at the same time, I get it. They want people to play these things, so that's how they incentivize you to do it. So I suppose that's a preference kind of a thing. So if you didn't know that, that is a thing that they have going in the game. So another downside that I had to give this is just, even though there are stuff that you can unlock, the roster and the arena selection is very, very light in this game. And when you compare it to the other games of the past, it is extremely light. And again, I believe that's licensing issues just for that reason. And I mean, I get it. But it's Take-Two. I don't see why they couldn't afford to make that kind of work out. But I think that probably has to do more with WWE's side than theirs, in general. But yeah, there's so many retro type of arenas that we don't have access to anymore. You used to be able to play WrestleMania from, I believe, if I remember correctly, you used to be able to play 17 through 20, blah 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 blah. We had a whole bunch of options just back in 2K19 is what I predominantly played, but even back from 2K19, 2K20, they had so many more arena options. Now that's not the deal, and for me, I was kind of really upset about that at least we didn't get those. I understood the wrestlers roster, I understand it's licensing or whatever, but with the arenas, I don't get why they didn't add all those retro arenas. And even with the roster, we used to have you would have the characters how they are now, but then you used to have retro versions of them too. So you would have Triple H of today, but also Triple H from let's say 2014 or 2003, even back when he had his jean jacket. You used to have that, but that's not here anymore, which I don't understand that at all, because if you can make the characters from today, then I don't see why you couldn't make them from before. As far as I know, that's not something that's coming in DLC. There are some characters that are coming in DLC, which again, even with that, there are still people missing that I'm surprised are not in there. But I mean, what are you gonna do? It is what it is. But still, even with those caveats, the game is still a blast. I'm having a great time. I really haven't had this much fun with a wrestling game since 2K19, and I'm being able to play a match and then just being in the game for a while. I go hours just playing this, and I'm having I honestly would just highly recommend this game to anybody especially anybody who is a fan of wrestling or a fan of wrestling games, because sometimes some people aren't a fan of both. But for me, I haven't kept up with wrestling. I kind of stopped around 2013-ish, but I still play the games every time that they came out. So I definitely would tell one of my friends to be hey, no, go get this game. It's totally worth it. And I think I wouldn't be wrong about that recommendation. So far, people that I have told, hey, go play the game, they've been enjoying themselves too. And I've had a lot of friends and just a lot of people that I've talked to on social media just having a great time with it. So I think I would give this game, at the end of the day, I think I would give it an 8. An 8 out of 10 for sure. An 8 out of 10. It's not perfect, but it is one of the best modern wrestling games in a long time. I would compare this to UFC 3 type greatness. UFC 3 to me is the best UFC game that's come out in a long time. I have problems with UFC 4. So I would compare this to the greatness that was UFC 3. So I hope this review helped anybody who was trying to decide whether or not they wanted to get the game. And I mean, hey, if so, drop a comment, let me know. Please like the video so that, it can get some support. I want to try to make more reviews in the future. Come follow me on Twitter. Come watch me stream on Twitch. And let's just have a good time.